Spiritual understanding guides my will. That's today's daily word. Today's Sunday, June 28th, 2020. Spiritual understanding guides my will. Each day, I use my will to make decisions, big and small, that affect the quality and direction of my life. Through the use of my human will, I may make choices out of fear or a sense of lack, or I may be driven by my desire for convenience, comfort, or the pleasure of the moment. The use of my spiritual will, however, directs my choices toward a greater awareness of my divine nature. As I grow spiritually, I use my will to shine my Christ light even more brightly. I grow in willingness to co-create with God as I release my willfulness to do everything on my own, and I live more intentionally from my divinity. As I live more intentionally from my divinity, the light of spiritual understanding dawns within me and directs my will. I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. So let's take that thought into our quiet time. Spiritual understanding guides my will. So we allow our minds to just be still. Place both feet on the ground and put anything that's going on in our intellectual mind and put it aside. For this is our time to connect with that inner peace, that inner knowingness, that intuitive nature of God. So we allow ourselves to just breathe into this moment. Breathe in. And we allow our time to just get still, to just be in this moment right now. So ever so gently bring ourselves back to this time and place, and in our own special way, give gratitude for all that we have and for the clarity and understanding to do what is placed in front of us to do. And so it is. Amen. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for joining us today. And this is the 5th lesson of 6 from Lessons in Truth by Emily Cady. And in this 2 chapters, Secret Place of the Most High and Finding the Secret Place, is almost like, why did she take 2 chapters to write on this subject? Everybody knows finding the secret place of the Most High is getting still, going within, meditating, spending time with God. And yet, she tells us a lot in these 2 chapters. One of the things that she focuses on is that she reminds us, and she's mentioned this in some of the other chapters, is that being with God has nothing to do with the outer world. The outer world is the results of our time with God. Our clarity comes from spending time within. And so it's up to us to spend time with ourselves and with God. And so for some of us, we can find that doing a nature walk where we are able to quiet the intellectual mind and allow the intuitive nature within us to be heard. Because it's the intuitive and the intellect must work together. They must balance each other. You see, without one and the other, it's willfulness, much like our daily word today. And that's not really what we want. In other chapters, she tells us that it is God tapping at our heart and pushing us forward in a momentum so that we seek out the wisdom and guidance of God. For God knows the desires of our hearts already, but then what do we do with these desires? How do we fulfill them? How do we get to love and know and serve God more? Because that's the pushing, the gentle nudge, that we become seekers, that we seek out this mountaintop experience and we seek it out in all that we do. But the outer world takes away from the still calmness. We must operate in the human element in this physical form. So how do we do that without our will taking over as our ego and our willfulness, where we do what we think is best and not what the inner guidance of God is guiding us to be our best? And so intellect and intuition must work together. You see, our intuitive nature comes from our stillness. The more we are calm and allowing the still small voice of God to resonate with us, the more our intellect has the proper guidance with which to do. And isn't that what we want? We want to seek out the wisdom and guidance of God and then use our intellect to do the will of God. You see, but some of us spend a lot of time seeking out this guidance, trying to find this secret place by someone giving it to us. We might even pay for it. We might even pay for meditation groups and spiritual counseling, and I'm not saying that those are wrong. I'm saying that at some point in our spiritual seekingness, we discover that the secret place of the Most High is within us. It is embedded within us, and that we no longer have to seek out teachers. We no longer have to seek out others to tell me where the will of God is for me. In my spiritual counseling, I never tell another person what the will of God for them is, because I don't know. No matter how smart I might be, I do not know the will of God for you. Only you can discover that. I can guide you. I can recommend. I can say, why don't you get still more often? Or I might even ask, well, what does your inner guidance tell you? And many times I get the answer, I don't know. I can't figure it out. I'm lost. And my recommendation is to get still. Close out that outer world. You see. And not everybody has to go into a state of meditation. Meditation is not necessarily where the secret place is. It is for most of us, because that's what we're taught. But really, the secret place of the Most High is where you commune with God. And in that moment of communion, in that time with God, there is no fear. You know there's no evil. You are in the love and life of God. The two of you are profoundly one, and you know it with no hesitations. You know this to be your truth. So much, in fact, that you want to go there more often because it's serene. It's a surrender. It's a fulfillment of our desires to feel connected with God. You see, it's important that we always follow our intuition, remembering it's not our ego. And we can find our intuition so much easier when we allow the voice of God to be heard. Because that is a form of God, our intuition. It's that gut feeling And we know exactly what it is we're supposed to do. And when we get that inspiration, we then mold it with our intellect. And now we have a plan forward, a path forward. We know where we're headed. And we go there. We go there willingly, lovingly, and with not a care in the world, because we are doing the will of God. And so being in this secret place of the Most High is that connection. And if you get it riding a bike, if you get it where you're able to separate yourselves from this outer explosion of so much emotion and feeling and thoughts, and just put it all aside and go within and connect with God. What a beautiful gift it is. The gift of God within us. So I want to share with you a few things that Emily Cady says in her lessons. In the chapter, Finding the Secret Place, it's paragraph number 10, and it reads as this. We hear a great deal about sitting in the silence. To many, it does not mean very much, for they have not yet learned how to wait upon God, or to hear any voice except external ones. Noise belongs to the outside world, not to God. God works in the stillness, and we can so wait upon God of our beingness as to be conscious of the still inner workings, conscious of the fulfillment of our desires. It is in the stillness. It's not running to and fro. Yes, books can guide us. Yes, others can guide us. Guided meditations can guide us to that stillness. But when it's all said and done, only you and I separately can go within and feel that connection with God. No one else can reside there. It is your quiet, peaceful place. It is a secret place because it is a place of meeting between the Christ at the center of your being and your consciousness, a hidden place into which no outside person can either induct you or enter himself. Paragraph 6 of The Secret Place of the Most High. It is your personal space. Not just this personal space, but the personal space within you where God resides. You see, God is in everything and everyone, right? You see, when we sit and meditate because we're told to and that you feel obligated to, that's a form of blind faith. But our understanding faith, combined with our spiritual understanding, knows that when we go into that secret place, we find all goodness. We find the glory of God residing there. We find ourselves being able to connect with another human being because we know that they have that same spot. They too can go there. And isn't that the best guidance ever that we could give another human being? Their guidance, their God, is eagerly waiting to connect with them, to connect with you, to be part of that expression that I am connected to the still small voice of God. I know it, I feel it, it's a core of my being. That's the secret place. It's not a secret, it's more of a clarity of, it's a secret only in that it's your place. And what goes on there is between you and God. That makes it a secret. But we each have that same secret meeting place with God. We each have the ability to go in and find God. And that takes practice, doesn't it? It takes an awareness and a willingness to take time out of our day, out of our external world, and say, I want to connect with God. I want to feel God's presence within my being. And we give way to that. We give ourselves that permission to get still. It's a beautiful place to go. It's not a punishment. The external world can be very loud, can be very demanding. And that's why we do the 7 a.m. daily word call. Because why not do that for the first thing every morning? Have the ability and the time to just be with God. It's our little secret place. It's like that wonderful place that a child might go to so that they too can be with God. And isn't that what we're striving for, to be as a little child? Emily Katie says that a lot in her writings. Be as a little child, almost naive, where we're not overthinking, we're not overcompensating, we're not trying to figure it out. We're just there to hear and be in the stillness with God, to listen, to let our intuition and our intellect work together to create the outer manifestation that we desire in our lives. You see, there's an equilibrium going on here. We must spend time in that stillness, in that secret hiding place of God. That must happen for each of us. However it is that you get there. Meditation is the most popular, the most known one. But whatever way you have to connect with God, that's where you begin the process. The other side is that after you connect and you allow your intellect to mesh and be guided with your intuition and your inspiration, it's then the outer world starts to look very differently because our consciousness is changing. We start to see good in other people. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't it be wonderful that the more we see the good within ourselves and the more we connect with God, seeing that wisdom and goodness and that life and that love, we're able to see that in others. You see, because there's a balancing act that takes place. We receive the intuition and we guide our intellect with that. And it must go outside of ourselves and create that wonderful space, that wonderfulness that allows us to say yes to God. When we say yes to God, really, the impossible becomes possible. Because now we're being guided and we allow our intellect to mesh with this guidance. And we create all manners of success in our life. Healthy relationships, prosperity, good health, wonderful people around us. You know, you're the one that people say, I want to be like her. I want to be like him. He's so calm all the time. She's so happy in a good place, even though outer circumstances are saying so many other things. And we have every reason to be dismayed and discouraged. But the wisdom and guidance of God overshadows that. We become aware of the possibilities within us in this human earthly form to be able to walk into that secret hiding place and we find God. We experience God. We experience that connection and that oneness that is always available to us when we get still. It's a conscious decision to get still. We put aside a time every day to allow that still small voice of God to be heard. Don't we want it? I want more of it. But I can't live in meditation 24/7. I have a life to live. And I want to live that life with the guidance of God. And I receive that guidance by getting still and listening to that still small voice. So I hope you'll do that. Spend more time finding your secret place, that place within that you and God reside together, where all your questions get answered. And you have that willfulness to do the will of God and not the will of our egos. So I invite you to increase your meditation time or your stillness time for you. And maybe it's time for some of you to stop seeking out the guidance of others. But maybe that guidance is within you, waiting to be heard. God bless you. I love you, and I see the Christ in you. And you are one with God. Our spiritual center is fully supported by the love offerings that you so generously share with us through our Tidely app or through your checks. And so we are so grateful. And for this, I say amen, amen. And so it is. Amen.